Achievement is something that we all want, isn't it? But here's what we often overlook. Achievement is not something you pursue. It's something you draw by the person you become. You see, chasing achievement can lead you to disappointment, to exhaustion. Because the more you pursue, the more it seems to slip away. But when you focus on becoming the kind of person who naturally draw achievement, you don't have to pursue it anymore. Achievement finds you. So let me ask you something. What kind of person are you becoming? That's where it all begins. You might be asking yourself, what does it mean to become a person who attracts achievement? Well, it starts with developing your character, refining your routines, and sharpening your perspective. Achievement. My friends is attracted to certain qualities: self-control, persistence, generosity, honesty. It's attracted to people who add value to the world, people who are constantly growing, constantly improving. It's attracted to people who are intentional with their lives, people who have objectives, people who have a vision. So let's talk about objectives. You can't draw achievement without clear objectives. You've got to have a destination in mind. A lot of people make the mistake of wandering through life without a clear direction, and they wonder why achievement seems elusive. I'll tell you why. Achievement doesn't come to the wandering. It comes to those who are clear about what they want and are willing to pay the price to get it. Now, what is that price? It's time, endeavor, self-control, sacrifice. But you have to start with that first step. Know what you want. If I asked you right now, what's your goal for the next 5 years? Could you answer? Me? Could you give me a clear, specific, and compelling answer? Because if you can't, then I can tell you. Right now, you're not going to draw achievement. You've got to be clear. Clear vision leads to action, and action leads to results. When you know what you want, the path becomes clearer. Now, don't get me wrong. The path won't always be easy. In fact, it rarely is. But you'll be moving in the right direction. And that's what counts. Achievement comes to those who are willing to take cons. Consistent, disciplined action in the direction of their objectives, even when the going gets challenging. And believe me, it will get challenging. But here's the secret. Challenging times don't last. Challenging people do. That's why becoming a person who attracts achievement is so important. You've got to become more resilient, wiser. More resilient. The bigger your objectives, the bigger the hurdles. But the hurdles are not there to stop you. They're there to make you stronger. Years ago, I was broke. I was 25 years old and I had nothing in the bank, nothing in my pocket, and not much hope for the future. But something happened to me that changed the course of my life forever. I met a guide, Mr. Cha. And Mr. Cha told me something that hit me like a ton of bricks. He said, Jim, if you want things to change, you have to change. If you want things to get better, you have to get better. That was a revelation. I had been waiting for my conditions to change. But what Mr. Che taught me was that it wasn't about my conditions. It was about me. I was the problem, but I was also the solution. If I wanted to draw achievement, I had to become the kind of person that achievement would be attracted to. So I started working on myself. I started reading books, listening to seminars, seeking out mentors, doing whatever it took to improve my perspective, my skills, my routines. And slowly but surely, things started to change. Why? Because I was changing. And that's the key. My friend's achievement is something you draw by the person you become. When I changed, The possibilities changed. When I changed, the people I met changed. When I changed, everything changed. But it all started with me. Let's talk about routines. Because if you want to draw achievement, you've got to cultivate the right routines. Your routines determine your future. You can have the best intentions in the world, but if your routines are out of alignment with your objectives, you're going to struggle. Think about it if you want to be physically fit, but you have the habit of eating junk food and skipping the gym. Are you going to get fit? Of course, not the same is true for achievement. You can't expect to be successful if your routines don't align with achievement. So what are your routines? Successful. People have achievement routines. They read, they plan, they take action. They review their progress, they get up early, they stay focused, they are consistent. And that's a big one, consistency. It's not about doing something great once in a while. It's about doing the right things day in and day out. Achievement isn't built on occasional endeavor. It's built on consistent endeavor. And I'm telling you, that's not easy. It's easy to get excited for a day, maybe a week. But can you stay excited? Can you stay committed for months, for years? That's where the magic happens. It's in the consistency. But here's something else. Not only requires discipline, but also the right mindset to sustain progress over time. Consistency. But here's something else. Not only does consistency matter, but it also requires unwavering focus and effort. Tomorrow you water it, you nurture it, you give it time to grow. The same is true for your achievement. You've got to be patient. You've got to be willing to put in the work and trust the process. Patience doesn't mean sitting around doing nothing. It means continuing to work, continuing to improve, continuing to take action. Even when you don't see immediate results, it means understanding that every step you take is moving you closer to your goal. Even if the progress is slow, too many people give up too soon because they give for sighing. Not patient enough to see the fruits of their labor, but achievement belongs to those who are willing to wait, who are willing to stay the course, who are willing to keep going. Patience, my friends, is a rare quality. In today's world, we live in a time where everything is instant. Instant communication, instant gratification, instant access to information. But here's the thing. Real achievement, the kind that lasts, isn't instant. It's gradual. It's built brick by brick over time. And the only way to see that achievement manifest is to be patient with the process. There's an old saying, haste makes waste. When you rush through the process, you miss the lessons, you miss the growth, and ultimately, you miss the achievement. But while patience is important, it doesn't mean you sit back and wait for things to happen. Patience is about understanding that while you work, the results will come in due time. It's about trusting that your efforts will compound. That's the power of compounding. My friends, the small things you do consistently over time create massive results, just like planting that seed. If you water it today, and the next day, and the day after that, eventually it grows into a strong tree. Same principle applies to your achievement. Every endeavor, every disciplined action, every small improvement, it all adds up. And that's why patience combined with consistency is a recipe for achievement. Now, while we're on the subject of patience, Let's talk about persistence. Because if patience is the willingness to wait, persistence is the determination to keep going. No matter what, you can't draw achievement without persistence. Life is going to test you. There will be setbacks. There will be failures. There will be moments when you question whether it's all worth it. But I'm telling you, I've learned persistence always pays off. Always. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is often just one thing: persistence. Successful people aren't always the smartest or the most talented, but they are often the most persistent. They refuse to give up. They refuse to be discouraged. They keep going, no matter how hard it gets. Tell me, are you willing to fail on your way to achievement? Are you willing to keep going, even when things don't go as planned? Because I'll tell you right now, if you're not willing to persist, you won't draw achievement. You've got to be resilient. You've got to have grit. You've got to be willing to pick yourself up every time you fall down. Achievement doesn't go to the person who never fails. It goes to the person who refuses to stay down. So when life knocks you down, and it will get back up, dust yourself off and keep moving forward. That's how you draw achievement. Now here's something else about persistence. It's not just about working hard. It's about working smart. Persistence without strategy is like running on a treadmill. You're working hard, but you're not getting anywhere. You've got to be persistent. With purpose, you've got to have a plan, a roadmap. You've got to know where you're going and then adjust your course as needed. Sometimes when something isn't working, it's not because you're not trying hard enough. It's because you need to change your approach. Persistence doesn't mean doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. It means staying committed to your goal while being flexible in your approach. That's another quality of people who draw achievement. They are adaptable. They are willing to change their strategy when the situation demands it. They don't get stuck in one way of thinking. They're open to new ideas, new approaches, new ways of doing things. And that's important because the world is constantly changing. What worked yesterday may not work tomorrow. So you got to be willing to evolve, to grow, to learn new skills, to embrace new possibilities. The more adaptable you are, the more you'll draw achievement back. When I was getting started in business, I had this idea in my mind of how things should go. I thought if I worked hard enough, everything would fall into place. But things didn't always go according to plan. There were times when my strategy didn't work. There were times when my business wasn't growing the way I wanted it to. And I had two choices. I could stubbornly keep doing the same thing, or I could adapt. And thank goodness, I chose to adapt. I started learning new ways to market, new ways to connect with people, new ways to manage my time and my resources. And you know what? That made all the difference. It was this adaptability that turned challenges into opportunities. Training your mind to focus on the good, start looking for the silver lining in every situation. Start being grateful. Because being grateful is the gateway to an optimistic attitude. When you're grateful for what you have, you open the door for more good things to come into your life. But if you're constantly complaining, constantly focusing on what you lack, you close that. Your being grateful and positivity are magnets for achievement. Here's a little exercise. Every day, take a few minutes to write down 3 things you're grateful for. doesn't have to be anything big. Just 3 things that you appreciate about your life. It could be your health, your family, your work, the possibilities you have. And here's what will happen over time. As you train your mind to focus on the optimistic, you'll start to see more and more things to be grateful for. And the more grateful you are, the more achievement you will draw. Why? Because a grateful heart is a magnet for miracles. Being grateful creates an optimistic energy that draws more good things into your life. Now, this is a critical component to becoming the person who attracts achievement, personal responsibility. If you want to draw achievement, you've got to take 100% responsibility for your life. No excuses, no blaming others, no playing the victim. You see, successful people take full ownership of their conditions. They understand that while they can't control everything that happens to them, they can control how they respond. And that's the key. How you respond to life's challenges is what determines your achievement. Too many people go through life blaming their conditions, their upbringing, the economy, their boss, their spouse, anyone or anything but themselves. But here's the truth. As long as you're blaming something outside of yourself, you're giving away your power. When you take responsibility, you take back your power. You acknowledge that while you can't change the past, you can shape your future. And that's the perspective of someone who attracts achievement. They don't wait for conditions to change. They change themselves. They don't wait for someone else to make things better. They make things better. Taking responsibility is the cornerstone of becoming the person who attracts achievement. You see, the moment you shift from blaming external factors to owning your decisions, your attitude, and your actions, that's the moment you unlock your potential. It's the moment you stop waiting for life to get easier or for the perfect opportunity to fall in your lap, and you start creating the conditions that lead to achievement. Because, my friends, life doesn't respond to wishful thinking. Life responds to action, to determination, to personal accountability. Now, I want to be clear. This isn't about beating yourself up when things go wrong. It's about owning the outcome, learning from it, and moving forward. If you fail, and you will fail, from time to time, don't look for someone or something to blame. Instead, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? What could I have done differently? How can I improve next time? That's what personal responsibility looks like. It's about seeing every setback as a lesson and using those lessons to grow stronger, smarter, and better prepared for the next challenge. When I started my journey, I made a lot of mistakes, but I learned early on that if I wanted to grow, I couldn't afford to pass the blame. And one time, I remember I was struggling in my early business ventures, and it was so tempting to point fingers at everything: the market, the economy, even the people I was working with. But then I had a moment of clear vision. I realized that if I was going to get anywhere, I had to own my results, good or bad. And once I did that, everything changed. I stopped waiting for conditions to improve, and I started improving myself. That shift in perspective made all the difference. Here's the thing. Personal responsibility leads to personal empowerment. The more responsibility you take for your life, the more power you have to change it. And that's where achievement is attracted, when you're in control of your life, your actions, your future. There's no power in blame, but there's tremendous power in accountability. So I'll ask you again, How much responsibility are you willing to take for your achievement? Because that's going to determine how far you go. But here's something else. Taking responsibility doesn't mean you do everything alone. One of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking that being successful means doing it all by yourself. That's not the case. You need people. You need mentors. You need a team. You need a support system. What taking responsibility means is that you are in charge of finding the right people, building the right connections, and putting yourself in the right environments. You have to seek out those connections that will help you grow. You have to be responsible for surrounding yourself with the right influences. And that brings me to another key point. If you want to draw achievement, you need to be selective, ensuring you surround yourself with the right influences to support your growth.